Hello everyone, Bob here, and welcome to this week's episode of The Voice of the Movies. Today we are going to feature The Burbs from 1988. The film score was composed by Jerry Goldsmith, who's famous for composing several TV soundtracks as well as several famous movies. You may recognize some of his work as the Walton's main theme, the theme from Star Trek The Motion Picture, Gunsmoke, and many others. If we open up here, I'm going to show you first the artwork on this thing. This is another release from Waxwork Records. I apologize for that. You fold it open. There's an artistic drawing of the Tom Hanks character. And there's the track listing as well as the usual typical fare that is printed on the back of an album. Now, the records themselves are a blue color with kind of white swirls. Trying to get it where the light doesn't reflect there. And it says the Burbs has a track listing on side A. Side B on this one has a picture of Walter's dog. And a disclaimer, if you haven't seen the movie, that yes, that dog had an accident's head. No, the dog isn't really hurt. That scene's from a dream sequence. So don't worry, no one hurt the dog. The second record looks exactly the same. I won't slide it out of its cover, but track listing. But this one has the address on it from the house across the street for its side B, or side D, if you will. And also another art print and some notes from Joe Dante. Now, the film, if you don't know, the film is about this group of neighbors who recently there was another neighbor that moved in across the street, and these guys are kind of backwards and weird, and they get it in their head after witnessing several strange going-ons across the road that they have killed their old neighbors, the people who were in the house before them. And so it's plenty of comedy ensues, but there's a good variety of music on this record. The hero theme, or the music about the I call it the hero theme. It's whenever they play like the Tom Hanks character or the some of the other neighbors, it has a very upbeat, almost a westerny feel part of the time. And in fact, part of the time there you get the gunshot sound effects mixed in. Now, Jerry Goldsmith also did the music for Patton, and the Bruce Dern character is ex-military, and you can tell there are, if you're familiar with that film score, you can tell there's elements from it in this movie, which is fine. It's a good score too. But then there's some other tracks on here, like My Neighborhood. You get there's a segment where the violin gets to playing and some other strings, and it builds tension very well. Now there are the key tracks that feature the villainous or more ominous themes are The Garage and The Dream, both of which are on side B of the first record. And those do an excellent job of building tension. And I'm sorry to report that the theme that was used in several westerns from the 60s is not on this record. For those of you that have seen the movie, you probably know exactly what I'm talking about. It's the theme appears quite a bit in Once Upon a Time in the West and My Name is Nobody, are the two that come to mind right off the top of my head. Those are from. But the film itself is very light-hearted, fun movie, and most of the tracks from this convey that pretty well, with the tension built into all the appropriate places. At the very end of it, after all the mystery's been resolved and everything comes off as upbeat, and everybody's happy, and it's a very it's kind of funny because the heroes in this movie are your everyman, everybody that lives in the suburbs and goes to work and has regular jobs during the week and everything. And the music does a good job at the beginning of the movie and at the end of the movie of coming across as generic and catchy and lighthearted and kind of relatable. And then as the tension begins to build, the music picks up its pace and escalates, and you can feel the tone shift. But the reason I picked this movie to cover this weekend, as you know, is Memorial Day. And while I should have probably picked a movie that was more war-oriented or along those lines, The Burbs has always seemed like a movie that fit one of these 3-day weekend holidays in the summer, like Memorial Day or Labor Day, because it's about these guys on their time off sitting there watching their neighbors. And with this home lockdown stuff going on right now, that's pretty much what a lot of us are relegated to doing. But of course, the pressings from Waxwork, it's another they brought their A game again. They never disappoint. If you're a fan of movie soundtracks or Jerry Goldsmith, give it a solid listen to. That's all I've got. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the content of this video, somehow, some way, please consider subscribing to my channel. Follow me on Facebook or Twitter at Bob the Film Guy. And this is Bob, signing off.